5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
You blitz all night. And if they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm going to take every last one of you out.
Hey, the blitz is coming, boys.
What's going on? Welcome back to The Blitz. I'm your host, William Spencer, and this show is to provide you with the latest and greatest in news, tips, tricks, and advice to prepare you for another week of fantasy football in less than 5 minutes, or 5 minutes or less. It's another week of fantasy football coming to an end, and it's time to recap the good, the bad, and the ugly for fantasy football as week 3 comes to a conclusion. But before we jump into the episode, make sure that you're following the Fantasy's Finest YouTube channel for the latest episodes of The Blitz. And you can also find The Blitz in audio format on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts, baby. And make sure to like, share, and comment on the podcast episode, as it allows us to see what you guys like, and it helps us grow the channel via the algorithms. We got to get those algorithms on our side. So with the pleasantries out of the way, let's get into another week of GBU with what happened during week 3. And as always, my personal preference, I like to start with the good. Now, despite the continued struggles of the Texans offense, wide receiver Nico Collins had a better game this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Collins saw 11 targets for 104 yards and a touchdown on 8 receptions in the game. That would be enough for him to finish as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver for week 3, as he landed at the wide receiver 6 spot with 22.4 fantasy points. Now, another player I want to highlight that landed on the good side for fantasy football is freaking David Montgomery. Monty balled out against the Baltimore Ravens, leading the Lions backfield with 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not only that, but his late game touchdown run where Jared Goff was trying to wave him down to fall short of the goal line was a clincher. That play saved me in week 3. Did it save you? Leave a comment and let me know in the episode. Now, Montgomery finished as the running back 2 with 29.4 fantasy points. That's just a few hairs behind Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, who also cooked in week 3 with nearly 33 fantasy points, and you got him as a steal. He finished as a top dog for the running back position in week 3. And now the bad. Travis Kelce, what are you doing, dog? Not only did you finish with just 26 yards against the freaking New York Giants, but you had ample opportunity to get busy with Xavier Worthy out for another week. And you got caught on camera arguing with Andy Reid again? You gotta chill out, man. This is not a good look. Now, with the next guy, it's a bit more personal. I have fantasy football beef with this guy. Kyler Murray, come on down, man. 153 yards, bro, on 35 attempts. Now, don't get me wrong. I saw Marvin Harrison drop a big pass that could have been a touchdown, but I got to say this much. Maybe if you got him the ball a little bit more often, he wouldn't be so surprised when the ball was actually coming his way during games. You weren't throwing the ball to anyone else. Michael Wilson, your wide receiver 2, had 2 targets in week 3. It's like if McBride isn't on the back of the jersey, your target share is going to be shaky. You got to do better, Kyler. 14 fantasy points ain't cutting it. And finally, the ugly. CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix, Jordan Love, y'all got to come to the front of the class. All of you jokers finished as the QB 25 or lower in week 3. 12.4 fantasy points and under. And you guys are supposed to be fantasy steals. Penix, you flashed in your first game against the Bucs and haven't been good since. Trevor, until you can start being more consistent with your targets and accuracy, you can't be called T-Law anymore, dog. BTJ may rank 16th among wide receivers in targets, but he can't catch half the balls that's coming his way, wrist injury or not. CJ Stroud and Jordan Love, I don't know what's going on with you two. The Texans look a hot mess on offense, and the Packers, y'all lost to the Browns. That was worse than my Cowboys getting cooked by the Bears. The only positive that came out of that game was Matthew Golden leading all receivers in yards and targets, and he only had 4 targets. All right, I'm sorry, guys. I had to get that off my chest. I had to get that little last part off my chest. It was just frustrating. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of The Blitz. But let me know in the comment section on YouTube or on Spotify, as well as on Twitter, because we'll have a post up there too. Who were your good, bad, and uglies for week 3. And also make sure that you're subscribed to the Fantasy's Finest YouTube channel or on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you don't miss out on the next episode of The Blitz. Until the next one, see you guys later.
Yo, come back now, you hear?